On Tuesday, President Bola Tinubu received Governor Alex Otti of Abia State at the presidential villa in Abuja. Now, the official details of the meeting weren't shared immediately, but we have sources that suggest this conversation was centered around securing the release of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, also known as IPOB. This move is no surprise, considering the continued calls for his release following his life sentence on terrorism charges earlier in November 2025. In fact, Governor Otti has been vocal about his efforts to push for Kanu's freedom since assuming office. Just a few days ago, on November 20, the Federal High Court in Abuja sentenced Kanu to life in prison, a decision that stirred intense reactions from his supporters. For many, Kanu's case is about more than just a man convicted of terrorism. It's about the struggle for self-determination, the quest for justice, and the deepening rift in the Southeast. This sentence has added more fuel to the fire, and the reactions have been strong, especially from the Southeast, where Kanu's supporters feel that his detention is a symbol of oppression. Governor Otti isn't backing down from this cause. During his recent visit to Sokoto, where Kanu is incarcerated, Otti made it clear that his administration is fully committed to finding all legal and political avenues to ensure Kanu's release. This prison visit was more than just a symbolic gesture. Otti, along with Kanu's younger brother and a few other officials, went to meet Kanu at the Sokoto prison. They were there to make sure that Kanu knows that his case is a top priority for Abia State. The prison visit wasn't a one-off event. It's part of a broader strategy that Otti and other political figures are working on. In fact, since taking office, Otti has kept a steady message. He wants a peaceful resolution to Kanu's case. He's been working on it behind the scenes and said he's activated a plan to continue pursuing Kanu's release. This meeting with President Tinubu is another part of his ongoing efforts to use both state and federal channels to push for a resolution. The federal government, led by Tinubu, has been under pressure from various political leaders, including Otti, to engage in dialogue and find a way to resolve this issue once and for all. Now, it's not just about Governor Otti's efforts. His visit to President Tinubu is viewed as an important step in advancing dialogue and potentially finding solutions at the federal level. It signals that the governor is trying to explore every possible option. The situation remains complicated. While some may support Kanu's release, others are worried about the political and legal implications of letting him go. But the discussion has clearly moved to the top levels of government. People have been watching closely since the federal court handed down that life sentence to Kanu. That judgment, handed down on the 20th of November 2025, was a major turning point in this long-running saga. For many in the Southeast, this conviction only deepens the perception of injustice. They believe the entire trial was politically motivated and that Kanu's activism for the Biafran cause should not lead to his life being imprisoned. It's important to note that Kanu is no stranger to legal battles. He was arrested in 2015 on charges of treason after pushing for the secession of Biafra from Nigeria. His rise in prominence came through his Radio Biafra broadcasts, and in 2014, he formally founded IPOB, a group advocating for the independence of the Biafran region. Kanu's activism sparked widespread protests, and the Nigerian government was quick to label him a threat. He was released on bail in 2017, but later fled to the UK after a military raid on his home. He was eventually arrested again in 2021 and faced charges of terrorism, incitement, and his ties to IPOB's armed wing, the Eastern Security Network. The decision to sentence him to life in prison was met with protest and widespread disapproval, especially from those who see him as a martyr for the Biafran cause. And now, as we see Governor Otti pushing for Kanu's release, it's clear this is not just about one man's freedom, it's about an entire movement that has galvanized many Nigerians, particularly in the Southeast. Now, let's talk about what President Tinubu has to say. While we don't have full details on what exactly was discussed during the meeting, the fact that Otti was meeting with the president signals that things are getting more serious. There's a chance that Tinubu could intervene in some way. The federal government is not entirely opposed to engaging in talks, but they are very clear that they don't want to send the wrong message. The concern is that granting Kanu's release could embolden other separatist movements or fuel further discontent in the region. However, some government officials have hinted that there might be room for dialogue. There's the possibility that a political solution could be found, but it would have to be balanced carefully. The central government does not want to appear weak, and they certainly don't want to be seen as rewarding terrorism. But at the same time, they also don't want to fuel more unrest. The situation is delicate and the discussions are ongoing. Governor Otti has been very clear about his position. He's not just doing this for political gain. He genuinely believes that Kanu's release could be a step toward healing the wounds of the past and bringing peace to the region. He's emphasized that force and repression won't fix anything. What's needed is dialogue and an acknowledgement of the political reality in the Southeast. Kanu's release, in Otti's eyes, would help restore trust and potentially prevent further violence. But let's take a step back for a second and look at what this means for Nigeria as a whole. The country has always had its divisions, whether ethnic, religious, or political, and issues like this one only deepen those divides. There's no doubt that Kanu's case has polarized the nation. On one hand, you have people who see him as a hero fighting for the oppressed. On the other hand, there are those who see him as a dangerous figure promoting violence and destabilizing the country. The fact that Governor Otti is so committed to Kanu's release tells you something about the political dynamics in Nigeria. He knows that this issue resonates deeply with his people. The Southeast has been marginalized for years, and Kanu's case has come to symbolize that marginalization. So Otti is trying to leverage his position to bring about change, but at the same time, he's walking a fine line, trying to ensure that he doesn't lose the support of the federal government. Now, you might be wondering, why does Kanu's case matter so much to so many Nigerians? It's simple, really. While many see Kanu as a figure of controversy for a significant portion of the population, he's a voice for the voiceless. A man who dared to challenge the status quo and speak up for the rights of Igbo people and other marginalized groups in Nigeria. His arrest in 2015, his time in detention, his subsequent release, and his eventual rearrest have all fueled a narrative of resistance against perceived oppression. On the flip side, the Nigerian government views Kanu differently. His actions, according to them, have not only disrupted peace in the Southeast, but have also undermined the unity of the nation. The federal government's stance is that his calls for Biafra's secession threaten national security and stability. This is why his trial and subsequent life sentence sparked such heated debates. For some, it's a matter of justice, while for others, it's about protecting the integrity of the nation. But it's not just Kanu's supporters who are invested in this matter. There are also concerns from other regions, particularly the North and the West, about what Kanu's release could mean. Could it lead to a ripple effect? Will it embolden other separatist movements within Nigeria? Could it signal a shift in how the government handles issues of secessionist groups? These are all questions that are constantly being asked, and the answers are not easy to come by. The key point to remember here is that whatever happens with Kanu's release, it will have consequences beyond just the Southeast. It could change the way Nigerians see the government's approach to justice, national unity, and even how the federal government handles regional demands. This is a moment of reflection for the entire country. How do we handle dissent? How do we balance justice with national security? And don't think that this story is just about the political elites having their say. The average Nigerian, especially those in the Southeast, is very much involved in this discussion. Protests, marches, and public statements have been made across the country. Many people see Kanu's case as emblematic of a larger struggle, a struggle for respect, for justice, and for acknowledgement of their place in this country. Governor Otti's push for Kanu's release shows that this issue isn't just a local matter. It's one that has national implications. And as we see more discussions taking place, especially between state and federal officials, the pressure is mounting for a resolution. The Nigerian people, particularly those in the Southeast, are watching closely. They're hoping for a breakthrough. They're hoping for some sign that the government is willing to listen, engage, and resolve this long-standing issue. One thing that's become increasingly clear is that whatever solution comes about, it will require careful negotiation. There will need to be compromises, and there will need to be assurances that any decision made doesn't worsen the already fragile security situation in the country. But at the same time, there's the reality that if this issue is not resolved, it could keep festering, creating more tension and division across the country. But let's talk about what might happen in the coming months. If President Tinubu decides to act on Otti's request, we could see a series of legal maneuvers that could lead to Kanu's release. However, it's important to remember that this is not a straightforward path. There will be many hurdles along the way. The legal system will have to play a significant role, as Kanu's case is still under appeal. There will also be discussions around what conditions, if any, should be attached to his release. Now, there's also the possibility that the federal government could offer some sort of compromise, a conditional release, for instance, or an agreement that Kanu will cease certain activities in exchange for his freedom. These kinds of negotiations have happened in other parts of the world when dealing with separatist leaders, so it's not out of the question here. However, the government will likely be cautious, wanting to ensure that no concessions made would set a dangerous precedent for other groups pushing for secession. Another critical factor in this story is the international community's role. Kanu is a dual citizen of Nigeria and the United Kingdom, and his case has attracted attention from international human rights groups, the British government, and the African Union. These bodies have weighed in on the case, with many calling for Kanu's release on the grounds of fairness and human rights. While the Nigerian government may resist international pressure, it cannot ignore the growing diplomatic conversation surrounding Kanu's fate. If this pressure continues and the dialogues between Otti, Tinubu, and other key players intensify, there could be room for a resolution that satisfies both sides, a resolution that acknowledges the complexity of the situation but also paves the way for peace and unity. However, it's also possible that no solution will be reached in the immediate future, and we'll see more legal battles and political wrangling ahead. What's crucial right now is to keep an eye on the developments coming from both state and federal governments. As things stand, there's a lot of speculation, but little certainty. Will Tinubu agree to Otti's requests? Will the federal government move toward releasing Kanu, or will the matter remain in the courts for the foreseeable future? One thing is clear, this issue isn't going away anytime soon. As the discussions continue, we'll likely see more political moves from both sides. Otti will continue to press for Kanu's release, and the federal government will continue to wrestle with the political and security implications of such a decision. But no matter what happens, this will be a moment to watch. The way it unfolds could have lasting effects on Nigeria's political landscape. Now, as always, I want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Nnamdi Kanu should be released, or do you think his conviction should stand? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest developments on this story and others. And with that, we'll wrap it up for now. But stay tuned, we'll keep you informed on what happens next.